Picture this. You're tucked into bed, the world outside fading to a hush, and I'm about to whisk you into the grimy toothaking underbelly of medieval Europe. Before we dive in, do me a favour, hit that like button if you're ready for a wild ride, subscribe if you want more tales like this, and drop a comment telling me where you're listening from. Got a fan humming nearby, perfect. Dim those lights, let the soft drone pull you under, and let's sink into a world where a trip to the dentist meant pliers, prayers and a whole lot of screaming. You're in a medieval village, the air thick with the tang of wood smoke and something sour you can't quite place. It's not the mud-caked streets or the livestock crammed into every corner, it's the breath. Everyone's got a mouth like a forgotten cellar reeking of old cheese and despair. Dentistry here isn't a profession, it's a battlefield. No sleek offices, no minty floss, just a local blacksmith doubling as the tooth puller, his iron tongs more suited for horseshoes than molars. Anesthesia. That's a mug of ale and a muttered plea to whatever saint might be listening. If you've ever winced at a dental checkup, count your blessings, because back then, a cleaning meant surviving the day. This story's about you, not some knight or noble, but a kid born into a one-room hovel, destined to face the grim maw of medieval mouths. Your world's a cacophony of clanging church bells, the squelch of boots in mud, and the low groan of someone somewhere clutching their jaw. Teeth rot faster than the crops and nobody bats an eye. Your neighbour spits out a molar mid-sentence and keeps talking. Your aunt keeps her yanked teeth in a sack for luck. It's grim, sure, but there's a stubborn spark in these folks. They laugh through the pain-swap stories over watery stew and somehow keep going. That's the medieval way, gritty raw and oddly hopeful. So settle in. You're about to become the village's unofficial tooth yanker, not because you chose it, but because fate's got a sick sense of humour. By the end, you'll know why every scream in this tale carries a strange kind of mercy. Ready. Let's crack open this jagged, bloody saga, one rotting tooth at a time. You're 5 years old, crouched in the corner of your family's hovel, the dirt floor cold against your knees. The air's heavy with the funk of unwashed bodies and yesterday's barley stew, but it's the smell from your father's mouth that hits hardest, a sour, meaty whiff that makes your eyes water. Nobody brushes their teeth here. Toothbrushes don't exist, and soap's a luxury for monks with too much time on their hands. Your family thinks bad breath's just life like rain or fleas. You, though, you notice. Your nose twitches, and that's the first clue you're different. Your days are spent gnawing on stale bread crusts so hard they make your gums bleed. Teething's no gentle milestone, it's beer-soaked rags, and your mother's whispered prayers hoping you'll grow strong through the crying. By now, you've seen your cousin lose a baby tooth to rot not age, and nobody blinks. At dinner, your uncle hacks up a chunk of something grey, tosses it into the fire, and keeps chewing. Your grandmother's got a pouch of yanked teeth tied tight with twine, because they bring good fortune. You're too young to call it madness, but you feel the wrongness in your bones. One night you trail your older brother to the village square where a crowd's gathered round the blacksmith's forge. A man's howling, pinned to a stool as the blacksmith, big as an ox apron stained with soot, yanks a tooth with tongs meant for bending iron. Blood sprays, the man wails, then staggers off muttering thanks. You're frozen, half horrified, half mesmerised. The crowd disperses, but you stay staring at the red-slicked rag on the ground. Why'd he scream, you ask the blacksmith boy who's mopping up. He shrugs. Teeth hurt. Always do. You keep asking questions too many maybe, because next thing you know they're handing you the rag. Clean it, they say. And just like that you're in. That moment sticks sharp as a splinter. You don't know it yet, but you've just stepped into a life where pain's the teacher and blood's the lesson. The village is tough, folks laugh through broken teeth, sing despite swollen jaws, but you're starting to see the cracks. And somehow you're the kid who's going to learn how to patch them one agonising pull at a time. You're 7 now, skinny as a reed, trailing through the village with that rag still clutched in your fist like a grim trophy. The air's thick with the buzz of flies and the tang of sour ale from the tavern. You're headed to the blacksmith's forge again, drawn like a moth to the clang of iron, and the promise of something raw unfolding. Today's no ordinary day, there's a crowd tighter than usual, their murmurs humming with equal parts dread and thrill. Someone's getting a tooth yanked, and you're not missing it for all the barley in the fields. The blacksmith, grim-walled, looms over a stool where a villager, some tanner named Rolf, sits. Face pale as whey, clutching his jaw like it's about to betray him. Rolf's breath hits you from 10 paces, a rancid cloud of rot that makes your stomach lurch. Grimwald's holding tongs blackened from forge work not made for mouths, but good enough for pulling stubborn nails or apparently teeth. Hold still, he growls, and Rolf whimpers, eyes darting like a trapped hare. The crowd leans in hungry for the spectacle. You push closer, heart thumping half hidden behind a barrel. Grimwald wedges the tongs into Rolf's mouth, and the scream that follows could wake the saints. Its high jagged slicing through the chatter. Blood trickles down Rolf's chin, bright against his sallow skin, and you flinch, but don't look away. The tongs twist metal scraping bone, and with a wet pop the tooth's out a blackened, jagged thing trailing a string of red. Rolf slumps, gasping, then mutters a slurred thank you as if Grimwald just saved his soul. The crowd claps, some jeering, some relieved. You're still staring at the tooth now in a bowl, its rot glistening under the sun. You can't help it, you ask Grimwald's boy. How do you know which one to pull? The boy snorts, tossing you the bloodied rag. It's the one that wiggles worst. Now mop up. You do questions, piling up like kindling. Why'd it bleed so much? Why'd Rolf thank him? Nobody answers, but Grimwald's eyes catch yours sharp as a blade. You're curious, eh? Keep that up, you'll be holding these tongs someday. It's not a compliment, it's a sentence. You grip the rag tighter, the coppery smell of blood seeping into your palms, and realise you're not just watching anymore. You're part of this grim dance now, and there's no stepping out. You're still 7, but the village doesn't see a kid anymore. They see the boy who doesn't flinch at blood. That day at the forge sealed it. Grimwald the blacksmith-turned-tooth puller has taken a shine to you, or maybe he just needs someone small enough to scrub his tools without complaint. Either way, you're his shadow now, trailing him from forge to tavern, to the makeshift surgery behind his hut where the air's always heavy with iron and misery. Your hands are raw from scouring pliers, your dreams jagged with the echo of screams, but you're learning. Oh, you're learning. Your first job's simple, keep the tools ready. Pliers, tongs, a hooked scraper that looks like it was born to gut fish. Not teeth, they're your toys now, cold and heavy smelling of rust and sweat. Grimwald shows you how to boil them, not for cleanliness, but to scare the demons off, he says with a wink that doesn't reach his eyes. You learn to mop blood without gagging, to hold a torch steady while he pries open a howling mouth. The villagers notice. That's the tooth boy, they mutter, half wary, half amused as you lug a bucket of crimson rags through the mud. There's no ceremony, no oath, just a nod from Grimwald one rainy afternoon. You're mine now, he grunts, tossing you a stained apron. It's too big, dragging in the dirt, but you tie it on like it's a knight's cloak. Your lessons are brutal. Hold a writhing patient's head, don't let it slip, no matter how much they curse. Learn which tooth wiggles enough to pull, and which needs the mallet's persuasion. You see things no child should, gums like raw meat molars crumbling like bad bread pus that smells like death's own breath. Yet you don't faint nod anymore. You bite back nausea and keep your hand steady. The village is your classroom, its people, your textbook. You see resilience in their cracked smiles, stubborn joy in their songs despite swollen jaws. Grimwald's no scholar, but he's got wisdom of a sort, Payne's honest, he says. Make it quick, they'll thank you. Make it slow, they'll curse your name. You're not a healer yet, not even close, but you're something rarer, a kid who can face the scream and not run. And as you scrub another bloody tool under a flickering torch, you feel it. This isn't a choice anymore. It's your fate carved in rust and bone. You're 9 now, still tethered to Grimwald's forge, your hands calloused from scrubbing tools that never quite lose their rust. The village hums with its usual chaos, cartwheels creaking, dogs yapping, and always somewhere a groan of jaw-clutching pain. You've seen enough mouths to know the truth. Dental hygiene in this world is a ghost story whispered but never believed. Nobody's cleaning their teeth, not really. The idea of a sparkling smile is as foreign as silk in a pigsty, and you're starting to understand why every breath smells like a grave's regret. Folks here think teeth just happen. If they rot, it's fate, or maybe a curse from that time they shorted the alewife a coin. The closest thing to hygiene is a quick rinse with ale, which does more for courage than cleanliness. Some the fancy ones, monks, or the odd merchant might chew a twig till it frays scraping at their teeth like it's a holy ritual. Others gargle vinegar wincing as it burns their gums, or chew mint leaves if they're near a patch. But most, they let nature run its course, and nature's a cruel dentist. Sugar's rare, thank the saints, but nobles who get their hands on honeyed treats wear their blackened teeth like grim trophies. Then there's the wildest tale of all toothworms. You hear it everywhere, old women muttering at market men swearing over their ale. Tiny invisible worms burrowing into your molars, gnawing day and night like devils with a grudge. Tooth hurts, worms hungry. Tooth cracks, worms done feasting. Grimwald nods along when folks ask is it the worms again because it keeps them calm. You've poked enough rotting stumps with a stick to know there's no worms, just decay eating itself. But you play along offering remedies like a roasted onion held near the jaw to lure the worm out. All you get is steam and tears, but the patient nods grateful for the lie. You're cataloguing this madness, half horrified, half fascinated. You've seen gums bleed like battle wounds, molars soft as wet clay, and nobody questions it. Pain's just life like mud or hunger. Yet there's a stubborn spark in these folks. They'll wince, curse, then laugh over their stew teeth or no teeth. You're starting to dream of a world where the screaming stops, where a smile doesn't hide rot. For now, though, you're the kid who knows too much poking at myths with a stick, wondering if truth can ever outshine a good story. You're pushing 10, and Grimwald's Forge feels less like a workplace, and more like a battlefield you've learned to navigate. The blacksmith's not your only master now. You've been handed off to the village's barber surgeon, a wiry man named Halbert, whose hands are stained with blood and whose apron smells like a butcher's stall. Halbert's no tooth specialist. He's a jack-of-all-trades, trimming beards, lancing boils, setting bones, and yanking molars between swigs of ale. You're his apprentice, which means you're part servant, part shield, catching the brunt of every scream and splash. Your days start at dawn, sweeping Halbert's workshop, a damp, stone-walled room cluttered with tools that look like they belong in a dungeon. There's no fancy tray here, just a wooden bench holding pliers, a dull saw, and a leather strap for patients to bite. You fetch boiling water not to sterilise, but to look busy and hold down patients who thrash like netted fish. Your first week you saw a leg come off the man's screams, fading as he passed out. You fainted too, but Halbert just laughed, slapping your back. You'll toughen up, lad. By week 3 you're steadying heads as he pulls teeth your knees locked against the nausea. Halbert's lessons are blunt. If it's loose, yank it. If it's black, yank it faster. He doesn't care about clean cuts or happy endings, just results. You learn to spot a tooth that'll pop with a twist versus one that'll snap, leaving a sobbing mess. When things go wrong, and they do, you're on clean-up mopping blood pus and shattered enamel. Halbert's got a saying, "Infection's God's call, not ours." You nod, but you're starting to question it, cataloguing every failure in your head. You ask too many questions: why the swelling, why the fever, and Halbert grumbles, but he answers seeing something in you he doesn't name. The village is your mirror reflecting pain and grit. You see it in the baker who chews with one side, the widow who hides her gaps with a scarf. They're tough, these folks, singing through their agony, joking over their scars. You're not a healer yet, but you're becoming something vital. A boy who can face the rot and keep moving. As you scrub Halbert's tools under a flickering candle, you feel the weight of it. This is your world now, and every scream's a step toward making it hurt a little less. You're 11, and Halbert's workshop is your second skin now, its damp stone walls and acrid stench as familiar as your own heartbeat. The tools you once feared are your companions laid out on a scarred bench like soldiers awaiting orders. They're not the gleaming instruments of some far-off future. They're crude, heavy, and born for battle against the rot in men's mouths. You've learned their names, their quirks, their brutal purpose, and everyone carries a story of screams and survival. This is your toolkit, and in your hands it's the only mercy this village knows. First the pliers, thick rusted brutes forged for pulling nails or bending iron, not coaxing teeth. Their handles are slick with years of sweat, the jaws pitted from gripping molars that fought back. They smell of metal and despair, but when they clamp down they don't let go. Then there's the tooth key, a twisted contraption like a crank gone wrong, meant to hook a tooth and wrench it sideways. It's finicky half the time it snaps the tooth in two, leaving you to fish out shards while the patient howls. You've got hooks too thin and sharp, perfect for snagging stubborn roots, and a scraper that looks like a spoon sharpened by spite used to scoop pus from abscesses. The mallet's the real beast, wooden heavy for when the pliers fail. You tap it against a chisel held to a tooth, praying your aim's true. Missing the jaw might crack. Hit right, and the tooth pops like a cork. These tools aren't clean, wiping them on a rag's as close as you get to sterile, though Halbert sometimes passes them through a flame for show. Some were made for animals, others scavenged from who knows where. One plier has a notch in the handle, maybe a craftsman's mark, maybe a tally of lost battles. You don't ask. You keep them ready, lined up like grim sentinels, because when a villager staggers in jaw, swollen eyes wild, there's no time to fumble. You've seen what these tools can do: yank a farmer's molar, save a child's life, or botch a pull, and leave a man cursing your name. They're not for healing, not really. They're for ending pain fast and messy. The village trudges on, tough as old leather, laughing through their gaps, and you're the one wielding these weapons of mercy, learning that every tooth pulled is a story saved or a scar earned. You're still 11, but you've seen enough rotting mouths to know the village's tooth troubles aren't just bad luck. Halbert's workshop is a grim classroom, and today's lesson is the wildest yet, the myth of toothworms. It's the talk of the tavern, the market, the church. Everyone's sure these tiny evil critters are chewing through their molars, causing every ache and crack. You've poked enough decayed teeth to doubt it, but the belief's stronger than reason, and you're learning to nod along because a good lie can calm a trembling patient better than truth. The story goes like this: toothworms invisible as sin burrow into your teeth, gnawing like rats in a granary. A throbbing jaw, they're hungry. A shattered molar, they've had their fill. Old Meg at the well swears she saw one wiggle out once, though her ale mug was empty. Halbert plays it up, muttering about cursed worms to soothe the sobbing farmer. You've tried the remedies, holding a roasted onion to the cheek, dripping hot wax mixed with goat fat near the gums, even whispering threats to the tooth like it's a living thing. Nothing crawls out, just tears and steam, but folks thank you, clutching their jaws like you've banished a demon. There's more to it, though. Some say tooth pain's God's wrath punishment for lying gluttony or eyeing the miller's wife too long. Others blame the stars, muttering about Mars in a bad house. Halbert's favourite trick is to pray loudly before a pull, not for faith but for coins. You've seen him exercise a tooth with pliers, the patient nodding through their sobs. You know it's rot, not worms, gums like spoiled meat, enamel soft as chalk, but you keep quiet. Belief's a kind of medicine here, cheaper than herbs and twice as strong. The village wears its pain like a badge, yoking over their gaps, singing through swollen jaws. You're caught between awe and pity, marvelling at their grit while cataloguing their myths. You dream of a day when pain's just a memory, not a worm's cruel feast. For now, you're the boy who knows the truth but sells the lie, because in this world, a story's sometimes the only thing that keeps the screaming at bay. You're 12 now, and Halbert's workshop feels like a second skin, its damp air thick with the tang of iron and misery. You've held heads, scrubbed blood and dodged curses, but today's different. Today, Halbert hands you the pliers. You're up, lad, he says, arms crossed, apron stiff with old stains. Your heart lurches like a cart in mud. The patient's Edric, a farmer with a face like weathered oak, his jaw swollen so bad he hasn't eaten in days. His wife's there, wringing her hands, muttering about demons. You're barely taller than the stool he's on, but there's no backing out. Edric's breath hits you first, a sour blast of rot that makes your eyes water. You mutter a half-prayer more for show than faith and peer into his mouth. The molars a wreck, black and cracked gums puffed up like they're hiding a secret. You grip the pliers, hands slick with sweat, and position them, feeling the weight of every eye in the room. Edric's, his wife's, Halbert's. On 3 you whisper, but you don't wait. Halbert taught you that mercy's quick. On 2, you twist hard. Edric screams a raw animal howl that rattles your bones, and the tooth holds fast. You adjust, push deeper, and twist again. A sickening crack splits the air, half the tooth's out, a jagged shard dripping red. Edric's thrashing now, his wife sobbing, and Halbert's voice cuts through. Keep going, boy. Panic claws at you, but you dig for the root pliers, slipping blood flooding Edric's mouth. Another twist, another scream, and it's out a splintered mess that lands in the bowl with a dull clink. Edric slumps pale as death, but breathing muttering thanks through a crimson haze. Your shaking apron splattered like you've butchered a pig, but you did it. You clean the wound with wine packet with herbs and wrap his head all while your hands tremble like leaves in a storm. Halbert slaps your back hard. Not bad. Jaws only half cracked. You don't laugh. That night you pocket the tooth, your first trophy, its weight heavy as the scream still echoing in your head. The village keeps moving, folks chew, laugh, endure, but you've crossed a line. You're not just the kid with the rag anymore. You're the one who makes the pain stop even if it costs a piece of your soul. You're 13, and the smell's got you now. It's not just in Halbert's workshop where the air's thick with blood and rot. It's in your clothes, your hair, your dreams. Every morning you wake to it, a sour, meaty stench that clings like damp wool. At first you thought it was the stew simmering next door or Halbert's unwashed boots, but no, it's the mouths. Every patient who opens wide unleashes a wave of decay, pus, fermented scraps, necrotic flesh that slams into you like a fist. You've learned to breathe shallow, but it's no use. The smell's part of you now. It's not just rot. There's the sharp metallic tang of fear seeping from patients who sweat through their tunics as you raise the pliers. You can predict it now, who'll scream, who'll faint, who'll try to bolt. You've got a rope for that looped around the chair, standard practice. Some pass out before you touch them, their heads lolling as you prop them up. Others clench so hard their knuckles glow white, the smell of their dread mixing with the reek of their rotting teeth. The baker's breath carries garlic and despair. The blacksmith's is all abscess and ale. The worst is when a tooth crumbles soft as mouldy bread, leaving a black sludge that smells like death's own stew. You scrape it out, trying not to gag while the patient whimpers or curses your name. The village doesn't notice, they laugh through their gaps, sing through their pain, but you do. You walk home and folks step back, children clutching their mothers. A merchant you helped last month nods, then covers his nose with a cloth. You're the tooth boy, the walking omen, carrying the scent of every ruined mouth you've faced. You try to shake it. You burn herbs, scrub your hands till they're raw, but the smell lingers a ghost that follows you to bed. You see it in the bucket of teeth piling up by noon, each one a tiny monument to agony. The village keeps going tough, stubborn, alive, but you're marked now not just by the tools or the screams, but by the invisible cloud that says you're the one who dives into the rot and comes out the other side. You're 14 now, and Halbert's workshop is less a place and more a state of being its stone walls echoing with the ghosts of 1,000 groans. You don't see mouths anymore, not as parts of people, but as battlefields scarred and broken, where you're sent in to salvage what's left. Each patient who slumps into your chair brings a disaster between their lips, a jagged map of rot blood and ruin. You're no healer, not in the way priests or herbwives claim to be. You're a scavenger prying open the wreckage to stop the screaming one tooth at a time. A mouth opens and it's like peering into a war-torn village. Teeth lean like drunken soldiers, some blackened stumps, others cracked and yellow clinging to swollen gums that bleed at a glance. You've seen molars so soft they crumble under your hook roots, poking through pus-filled craters like bones on a battlefield. Gums are worse red and raw or grey with decay, sometimes crawling with maggots. You don't blink at that anymore. You just scrape and move on. Abscesses pulse under tongue, cysts hide behind molars, entire jaws throb like they're alive with rage. Once you drained a boil the size of a hen's egg, the man sobbing thanks through a flood of tears. You work fast, not for skill but survival. The longer you stare, the worse it gets. Your pliers twist your scraper digs, and sometimes a tooth explodes into shards, leaving you to fish out fragments while the patient howls. You've seen mouths with no teeth left, just raw sockets and despair. The blacksmith's abscess you lanced last week, the baker's bleeding gums, the widow's 7 crooked roots, they're all burned into your memory. You know them by their damage now, not their names. The bucket by your feet fills with teeth by midday, each one a silent scream heavier than it looks. The village keeps turning folks chew with half their mouths, laugh through their pain, stubborn as the mud they trudge through. You try to stay cold detached, but some mouths hit harder. A child's tooth rotted before it could fall, or an old man's last molar soft as regret it sticks with you. You're not saving lives, not really. You're buying time, and every so often you catch your own jaw, twinge a faint echo of the battlefields you wade through daily, reminding you even you're not immune. You're 15, and the screams don't faze you anymore. They're the air you breathe in Halbert's workshop, bouncing off stone walls like a grim choir, each one sharp and raw, a song of pain and release. You used to wince back when you were a kid, clutching a rag. Now they're just the soundtrack of your life, as constant as the clang of the forge or the drip of rain through the roof. Every patient brings their own note high and panicked low and guttural, or a choked sob that cuts deeper than the rest. You've heard them all, and you keep working pliers in hand through the noise. There's no anaesthesia here, no gentle numbing to ease the way. You've got a bottle of wine, sour and cheap, to dull the edge if they're lucky, and a leather strap for them to bite. Most times it's just you, a neighbour holding their shoulders and the pliers doing their brutal work. You wedge open the mouth, find the tooth black loose or stubborn and go. Twist, pull or bash with the mallet depending on the fight it puts up. The scream comes fast sometimes before you touch them, their eyes wide with dread. Some go stiff, too scared to breathe. Others flail, cursing saints, or you, their boots kicking mud onto your apron. You've seen it all, faints vomit, even a man who soiled himself mid-pull and you didn't stop. You can't. Hesitate, and the pain drags on worse for everyone. Early on you tried comfort, a pat a lie like this won't hurt long, but that stopped after a sailor bit through your glove, weeping like a child. Now you're all business, your voice flat, open wider. They call you names, demon, butcher, devil's kin, and you let it roll off. One woman swore you were hell-sent to punish her gluttony. You yanked her molar anyway. Most don't thank you. They stagger out blood-dripping, muttering oaths. A nod's the best you get a coin rarer still. The village endures tough as old roots, laughing through their gaps, singing past their swollen jaws. You're their grim necessity, trading one pain for another less lasting kind. You don't flinch at screams anymore, but they pile up inside heavy as the teeth in your bucket. You're not just the tooth boy now, you're the one they'll never forget, the shadow they curse when their jaws ache, the mercy they beg when the rot wins. You're 16 now, and Halbert's workshop is your world, its stone walls soaked in the reek of blood and fear. You've yanked dozens of teeth, dodged flailing fists, even caught a stray elbow from a panicked tanner, but nothing prepares you for the bite. It's a grey morning rain drumming the thatch when a miller named Godric staggers in his cheek, swollen like a ripe plum snarling through gritted teeth. "Just get it out," he growls, spitting flecks of blood, his breath a sour cloud that makes your stomach twist. You nod steady as ever, but something in his wild eyes sets your nerves jangling. You settle him on the stool, mutter your usual half-prayer, more habit than hope, and lean in to check the molar. It's a mess, black and splintered, barely clinging to gums that look ready to burst. You reach with a probe, testing for movement, and that's when it happens. Godric's jaw clamps down hard, your finger caught between two rotting teeth. Pain explodes white-hot, and you scream a raw, shocked sound that matches his own. The room spins, blood welling under your glove, and for a moment you're not the tooth boy, just a kid in agony. Godric's panicking, not attacking, his eyes wide with regret, but your skin's torn, the nail half gone. Halbert's there in a flash, prying his mouth open with the blunt end of the tooth key cursing under his breath. You stagger back, clutching your hand, pain throbbing like a second heartbeat. Blood soaks the rag you wrap around it, and you know human mouths are cesspools. No antiseptic here, just wine and boiled water poured over the wound while you grit your teeth. You pray this time for real, hoping the saints aren't in a foul mood. You finish the day's work, 5 more pulls, each one a test of will your hand, screaming with every twist of the pliers. By nightfall, fever sets in your finger, red and swollen infection burrowing fast. For 2 days you sweat through delusions, muttering to shadows about worms and teeth. You pull through barely, but the finger's never right again, stiff and crooked, a badge of your trade. Godric sends a loaf of bread each year, guilt heavy as his jaw. From now on you use a metal probe, not your hand, because in this grim dance the real danger's not the screams, it's the bite that marks you for life. You're 17, and word spread beyond the village muck to the stone halls of the manor. The nobles call for you now, their silks and furs no match for the rot in their mouths. You trudge up the hill, pliers clinking in your satchel, past fields where peasants toil to a world of polished floors and perfumed air. But when they open their mouths, it's the same old battlefield, only worse. Wealth buys sugar-candied fruits and syrupy wines, and those luxuries carve ruin faster than any peasant's bread. You're the tooth boy even here, kneeling beside velvet cushions to face jaws that reek of honey and decay. A lady's first, her face powdered white. Her breath, a sickly, sweet rot that curls your toes. Her front tooth's resting improperly, she insists, but it comes out in 3 bloody pieces, abscess pulsing beneath. She faints with a flourish, her maids fluttering like startled hens. A lord's next, his gums, like bruised plums, teeth black as sin. He demands you stop mid-pull to let him recite a poem badly, before you yank his molar quiet as a mouse to avoid his wrath. They don't scream like villagers. They groan theatrical, expecting grace where there's only pain. You oblige biting back sarcasm because their coins keep you fed. Then there's the cosmetic work. Nobles can't abide gaps where peasants just chew harder. You pack holes with wax paint teeth with lead that'll poison them. Slow, even carve an ivory canine that falls out at a feast, earning you a glare but no blame. Their mouths are disasters. Abscesses big as walnuts, gums soft as overripe fruit, but they demand discretion. You nod. Keep their secrets and pocket their rings, cloaks or chickens. The village laughs through its pain, but nobles hide theirs behind silk, expecting miracles you can't give. You see it clearly now. Decay doesn't care for titles. A baron's jaw rots same as a beggar's, and you're the great leveller pliers in hand, peeling back their grandeur to show the truth. Back in the village, folks jest about your fancy work, but you know better. Every noble's smile you save is a lie, and every coin you earn is stained with the same rot you fight daily, a grim reminder that pain's the one thing no one outruns. You're 18 now, and the village knows you not as a boy, but as the Tooth Man, a title that lands like a curse. You walk through the market, your satchel clinking with pliers, and the chatter dies. Mothers pull their children close, men avert their eyes, and a drunk once spat at your feet, muttering about plague demons. You're no hero, no healer in their tales, just a shadow they need, but dread like famine or the taxman. Your apron stiff with blood, your hands scarred, and your name's a hiss on their lips when pain drives them to your door. They don't come for checkups, not in this world. They wait till the rots are fever, till their jaws pulse with every step, till they're half mad with agony. Then they appear trembling hat-clutched tight eyes, darting like trapped rats. You see the fear when you reach for your tools, pliers glinting in the torchlight, a promise of pain to end pain. Some flinch at your voice, low and steady. Others won't meet your gaze. The brave ones force a smile, their teeth a grim mosaic of decay, and you nod knowing what's next. No one visits the Toothman for fun. Your work's a paradox, do it well they forget you. Botch it and you're legend. A woman swears you pulled the wrong tooth you didn't, but the story spreads whispered over ale. Boys trail you chanting, 1 for the farmer, 2 for the priest, hide your teeth or he'll make a feast. You laugh, but it stings. You never wanted fear, only to ease the screaming. Yet fear's useful coins come quicker, questions fewer when they think you might yank a molar for spite. A man collapses in the street, jaw swollen, and they shout for you not out of trust but necessity. The village grinds on, tough as old roots, laughing through gaps, singing past pain. You're their grim anchor, the one they curse but can't lose. You roll up your sleeves, open your kit, and step into the fray knowing each pulls a scar on their memory. They won't build you a shrine, but they'll remember the Toothman, the one who traded their screams for silence, the devil they need when the rot comes calling. You're 19, and the Black Death has turned the village into a graveyard. The air's thick with fever and fear, the streets choked with bodies too weak to scream. Tooth-pulling takes a back seat now. The plague doesn't care about cavities, it carves its own path, leaving swollen necks and black boils in its wake. Yet they still come to you not for miracles, but because you faced pus before drained rot and walked away breathing. You're the Toothman, and in this hell that makes you something close to vital. Your workshop's a grim hybrid, now clinic, and crypt stacked with firewood you burn for warmth, though it can't touch the bone-deep chill. You're not yanking teeth much. You're lancing boils, slicing swollen lymph nodes the size of eggs, watching pus burst like rotten fruit. Your blade's hot from the flame, your hands steady as you cut pack wounds with mouldy bread and pray it's enough. Some live gasping thanks through cracked lips. Others don't, their eyes glazing over as you mark another chalk line on your door. You don't keep score for pride, it's to keep your mind from unravelling. Payment's strange now, no coins, just bread-dried meat or promises from folks who won't see winter. A merchant hands you a ring, a widow her husband's boots. You sell what you can bury, what you must. The smells are worse rot, sweat and despair, thicker than ever soaking into your skin. The village is a shadow, its laughter gone, but whispers spread you. Drained a boil and saved a child, pulled infected teeth, and a man walked away. They call you the one who knows what priests don't, and you let them because in this chaos a spark of trust keeps you going. You barely sleep, your hands raw, your dreams a blur of screams and sores. The plague's a cruel master, but you're tougher carved from years of facing mouths worse than death. You're not just the Toothman, now you're the one they call when hopes are flicker, when the rot's too deep for prayers. The village clings to life stubborn as ever, and you're its grim heartbeat cutting, draining, surviving, because in the age of plague, living's the only victory left. You're old now, though you don't count the years, your hands do gnarled and aching, each knuckle grinding like the teeth you've spent a lifetime pulling. Halbert's workshop is yours, its stone walls etched with the ghosts of screams, its air heavy with the familiar reek of rot. You're the Toothman, a name that's outlived your youth, but now the rot's come for you. It starts as a dull throb in your back molar, a whisper you ignore, chalking it up to long days and longer nights. You've seen this story in 100 mouths start small ends big, but you're stubborn and denial's an old friend. You try the tricks you've sold to others, gargle sour wine, chew cloves, till your tongue stings, rub your jaw when no one's watching. But the pain grows, clawing up your jaw into your ear, behind your eye a fire that won't quit. You stop eating solid, sipping broth like an old crone, and your dreams turn dark teeth, falling worms, whispering shadows chanting in tongues you don't know. You consider your apprentice young and green, his hand still shaking over a simple pull. He's not ready wiping tools on his sleeve like a fool. No, this is yours to face. One night, under a flickering candle, you set up your own grim stage. The workshop's silent, the village asleep, and you wedge a wooden block between your teeth, pliers cold in your trembling hand. You've done this 1,000 times, twist, pull, done, but never to yourself. The mirror shows a face carved by years of screams, your own jaw, a battlefield now. You grip the molar brace and twist. The pain's a thunderclap, your groan, half rage, half agony. Blood floods your mouth, hot and coppery, and the tooth drops into the tin bowl with a clink joining the others like a grim reunion. You don't pack the wound, pride not neglect. It'll heal or it won't. You've always played that game. The pain ebbs, but something lingers a weight heavier than the tooth. You understand now truly what every scream meant, not just pain, but surrender, a piece of the soul left behind. The village trudges on, laughing through gaps, stubborn as ever, but you're fading. Your hands still, your breath slows, and when you're gone, no one carves your name. They'll ask, "Where's the man who stops the pain?" But you'll be a memory etched in the bucket of teeth beneath your bench, a quiet monument to a life spent wrestling rot and mercy. Imagine your curled up fan humming softly, ready to drift into a world long before closets or catwalks. Hit that like button if you're loving these tales, subscribe for more, and drop a comment where are you and what's the vibe tonight. Now let's slip into the raw, rugged dawn of humanity where clothing wasn't about style but survival, and every stitch was a small rebellion against a world that wanted you dead. You're crouched in a cave, the wind howling outside sharp as a wolf's teeth. It's 40,000 years ago, and the world's a brutal place, ice creeping south, predators sniffing the air, and you a shivering human barely upright. No silk, no cotton, just skin too thin to keep out the cold. You've got a fresh kill, a deer, maybe its hide still warm. You scrape it with a flint blade, your hands numb the smell of blood mixing with damp earth. This hide's your shield, now wrapped tight against your shoulders, tied with sinew or vines. Its rough smells like a wet dog and draws flies, but it keeps you alive another night. These aren't outfits. They're armour. A bear pelt might warm you, but it also makes you smell like dinner to the next lion prowling by. You layer what you can bark, stripped from trees, reeds twisted into belts, grass woven into crude skirts. It's not pretty, but it works, and you're not alone. Your tribe's at it too, each hide a story of a hunt survived, each not a lesson learned. That big guy with the mammoth fur, he's the one who speared it, his status sewn into the weight of his cloak. The woman with the intricate grass weave, she's the elder, her fingers telling tales older than the hills. You notice something else, clothing's more than warmth. It's a signal, a whisper of who you are. Bone needles found in caves from 40,000 years back show your tailoring now, fitting hides to bodies moving with the seasons. You migrate from icy tundras to sweltering plains, and your gear shifts thick furs up north, loose drapes in the heat. This isn't just survival. It's ingenuity, the first spark of tech woven with necessity, and a flicker of pride. The world's a beast, but you're stitching your way through it, one hide at a time. You're drifting now, the hum of your fan pulling you deeper into the past. Let's trade the cave's chill for the sun-baked banks of the Nile, where Egypt's spinning a revolution not in stone but in thread. It's 3000 BCE, and you're in a bustling village, the air shimmering with heat, the river glinting like a god's promise. Forget wool or hides here, it's all about linen smooth and light, a fabric so fine it feels like a second skin. You're about to see why Egypt dressed not just for life, but for eternity. You're at a flax field, the plants swaying their fibres your future. Harvesting's brutal yank, the stalks soak them in the Nile's muddy embrace, then beat them till they yield soft threads. You spin these into yarn, your fingers aching, then weave them on a loom, the rhythmic clack a song of labour. The result linen cool and breathable, perfect for a land where the sun's a relentless king. You wear it draped a simple kilt if you're a worker, tied with a belt, or a pleated tunic if you're elite, so sheer it glows in the light. It's not just cloth, it's a status symbol, white for purity divine, as the gods you pray to. Linen's everywhere, pharaohs swagger in it, priests purify themselves in its folds, even mummies are swaddled in it for the afterlife. You see a noblewoman, her tunic semi-transparent adorned with a beaded collar, her wig gleaming with perfumed wax. Kids run naked till puberty, but their first linen marks a step into the world. You notice the care, every pleat pressed, every thread counted, because clothing's not just cover. It's your soul's armour, your identity etched in flax. Slaves get rougher cuts, but even they feel the Nile's gift against their skin. Egypt's tough sand stings, labour grinds, but you see resilience in the weaver's hands, pride in the priest's pristine robes. Linen's a quiet triumph, a fabric that outlasts empires, carrying you from cradle to tomb. You're part of it, your kilt swaying as you walk the riverbank, knowing every thread's a story of survival, woven tight against the desert's glare. You're sinking deeper now, the fans hum a soft anchor pulling you into the cradle of civilization. Let's leave Egypt's sunlit linen for the dusty, vibrant streets of Mesopotamia, where the Tigris and Euphrates weave life and wool weaves power. It's 2500 BCE, and you're standing in a Sumerian city, the air thick with the scent of damp wool and baking clay. Forget delicate fabrics here, wool's the heartbeat of trade faith and rank, wrapping you in a world where every fold tells a story of survival and status. You're at the edge of a bustling temple complex, sheep bleating nearby their fleece the city's gold. Wool's not just clothing, it's currency taxed and traded, piling up in temple storerooms like sacred treasure. You wear a kenike's, a shaggy tufted skirt that looks like you've skinned a sheep and called it fashion. It's heavy, scratching your thighs, but it's practical, warm for cool nights, durable for labour. You wrap it around your waist, pin it with a wide belt studded with bronze, and feel the weight of your place in this world. Kings and priests wear finer versions dyed indigo or crimson, fringed with embroidery that whispers wealth. Women glide by their woolen robes, draping to their ankles, one shoulder bare, the fabric pinned with artistry, not stitches. Children scamper naked, modesty a grown-up concern, but even they'll inherit these draped garments someday. You notice the details: turbans for scribes, conical hats for soldiers, each marking tribe or trade. Your belts knotted with cords, maybe etched with a prayer to Inanna, because here clothing's not just cover. It's a contract with the gods, a badge of loyalty to city and king. Mesopotamia's tough floods ruin crops wars loom, but you see grit in the weaver's calloused hands, pride in the priest's ornate robes. Wool's their triumph, spun from chaos into order, carrying the weight of an economy and a civilization. You tug your kaunakis tighter, its coarse fibres grounding you, and walk the clay streets knowing every thread binds you to a world that's as stubborn as the sheep it shears. You're drifting now, the fans hum carrying you across deserts to the humid streets of Mohenjo-Daro, 2500 BCE. The Indus Valley hums with quiet genius, and you're about to wrap yourself in their secret weapon cotton, soft as a whisper light as the river breeze. This isn't the heavy wool of Mesopotamia or Egypt's crisp linen, it's a revolution in thread spun from plants, not beasts, and you're standing in a city so clean and clever it feels like the future dressed in the past. You're in a market, the air rich with turmeric and dust, your skin kissed by the relentless heat. You wear a short kilt cotton woven so fine it barely clings to your hips, tied with a simple cord. Women pass draped in longer cloths, one shoulder bare, an early echo of a sari swaying with every step. It's minimal, practical, letting the breeze cool your skin, but it's not plain. Your kilt's dyed a soft indigo, maybe turmeric yellow, the colours alive against the baked brick streets. Cotton's a marvel, breathable, soft and tough enough for daily grind, a gift from the fields you pass on the way to the river. You notice the elegance in simplicity. A woman's arms jangle with bangles, her hair braided with a bone comb, her neck strung with beads. No gaudy robes here, just clean lines and clever fabric, perfect for a people who value order over flash. Figurines in the dust terracotta, delicate show dancers in nothing but jewellery, their confidence a quiet boast. You run your fingers over your kilt, feeling the labour of spinning and weaving the cotton plucked from bowls under the same sun that burns your shoulders. It's not just cloth, it's a system, a city's pride woven tight. The Indus folk are tough monsoons, flood trade routes shift, but they endure their cotton, a badge of ingenuity. You walk their streets, your kilt swaying, and see resilience in every thread, every bead. This is fashion that doesn't shout but whispers of a people centuries ahead, stitching survival with elegance in a world that's still learning to dress itself. You're nestled in the fan's hum, a gentle tide pulling you toward the sun-drenched shores of Crete 2000 BCE. Hit that like button if you're vibing with these ancient tales, subscribe for more, and toss a comment. Where's your head at tonight? Now let's leap from the Indus Valley's quiet cotton to the dazzling dancing world of the Minoans, where clothing isn't just worn, it's performed, a riot of colour and motion that turns every step into theatre. You're in Knossos, the air warm with sea salt and olive blossoms, the palace walls alive with frescoes of leaping bulls. You're no wallflower here, you're dressed to move, to dazzle. As a man, you wear a loincloth tight and patterned, cinched with a sash that hugs your waist like a lover. It's light, leaving your chest bare to catch the breeze, but its bold reds and blues swirl across the fabric, shouting your vitality. Women steal the show, though their outfit's a marvel of tailoring and nerve. You spot one, her bodice laced tight, cinching her waist into an hourglass, the front open to bare her breasts, not a slip but a statement. Maybe ritual, maybe power. Her skirt flares tiered and flounced, swinging with every step like waves on the shore. These clothes aren't static. They're alive, designed for the dances and ceremonies that pulse through Minoan life. You feel the linen, maybe wool-soft but sturdy, dyed with madder root, or saffron borders woven with spirals that echo the sea. Your jewellery clinks gold bracelets, turquoise earrings, a necklace heavy with carnelian beads. Your hair's curled, pinned with a feathered headdress for the festival tonight, where you'll leap and spin under torchlight. Women's skirts ripple as they move their bangles, jangling like music, each fold a choreographed flourish. Minoans are fierce earthquakes, shake their island trade routes, demand cunning, but they thrive, their fashion a defiant celebration. You stride through the palace, your loincloth swaying, and see joy in every vibrant thread, every bold cut. This isn't just clothing. It's a stage, a sculpture of identity that dances through a world where beauty and motion are one. You're part of it, your outfit, a living poem stitched with the pulse of a people who dress to conquer time itself. You're floating now, the fans drone a soft bridge to ancient China, 2700 BCE, where silk spins a tale grander than empires. You're in a bustling village, the air heavy with mulberry leaves and ambition, the yellow river glinting like a dragon's spine. Silk's no mere fabric here, it's a secret, a status, a whisper of divinity, and you're about to wrap yourself in its shimmering embrace where every thread weaves hierarchy and history. You're a noble gliding through a market, your robe a cascade of silk, so light it feels like wearing a breeze. It's dyed imperial yellow, only the elite dare wear it. Dragons curling across the hem clouds, stitched in gold for wisdom. The cut's precise wide sleeves sweep the air, the hem brushes your ankles, folding left over right to honour tradition. You feel the weight of eyes commoners in coarse hemp bow, forbidden from such colours, their envy sharp as the loom's shuttle. Women's skirts flow high-waisted, pinned with jade hairpins, their sleeves trailing like wings, each gesture a dance of grace. Silk's birth is legend, Empress Lezu, they say. Unravelled a cocoon dropped in her tea, her fingers teasing out a thread that changed the world. You see the labour silkworms munching mulberry weavers hunched over looms, their hands crafting cloth so fine it's worth a king's ransom. Silk's not just beauty, it's power traded along dusty roads to distant lands, a diplomatic sword sharper than steel. Your robe's a map of rank, sleeve-length dye, depth pattern, all coded shouting your place in the emperor's shadow. China's tough winters, bite wars simmer, but its people endure their silk, a mirror of resilience. You adjust your robe, its sheen catching the sun, and see pride in every thread, every knot. This isn't just clothing, it's philosophy, a language of virtue and control woven tight against chaos. You walk the village silk, whispering with each step, knowing you're draped in a legacy that'll outlast dynasties, a shimmering thread tying you to a civilization that dresses its soul in divinity. You're cozy now, the fans hum a gentle nudge into ancient Greece 500 BCE, where elegance drapes like a philosopher's thought. Hit that like button if you're hooked. Subscribe for more and drop a comment. Where are you chilling tonight? Let's swap China's shimmering silk for the sunlit agora of Athens, where clothing isn't sewn but sculpted, a dance of folds and pins that whispers virtue and poise. You're about to wrap yourself in a world where every drape's a debate, every cloth a canvas of identity. You're striding through the marketplace, the air sharp with olive oil and dust. Your chiton a rectangle of linen pinned at your shoulders with bronze fibulae. It's light belted at the waist, falling to your knees if you're a man, or grazing your ankles if you're a woman. No stitches, no fuss, just geometry. The fabric flowing like a stream over your frame. You feel the breeze, the chiton shifting with each step, its saffron dye catching the sun, a quiet boast of wealth. Over it you sling a himation, a woolen cloak draped over one shoulder, heavy enough for cool evenings, dramatic enough to make a point in the assembly. Clothing here's a conversation. Your chiton's plain if you're a Spartan, red and coarse to spit at luxury. In Athens it's embroidered with meander patterns, a nod to the gods. Women weave their hair with ribbons, braiding it tight, or piling it high with tiaras, their chitons layered for modesty or mourning. You go barefoot, sandals optional, the dust warm under your toes because temples and symposia demand raw connection to the earth. Jewellery, gold earrings, amber beads finishes the look, but simplicity's the law. Extravagance raises eyebrows a civic sin in a city that prizes thought over flash. Greeks are tough wars loom, seas rage, but they endure their drapery a mirror of resilience and reason. You adjust your hymation, its folds falling just so, and see pride in every pin, every pleat. This isn't just clothing, it's philosophy and fabric, a balance of form and soul. You walk the agora, your chiton swaying, knowing you're draped in a legacy that argues for beauty, not with words, but with every graceful fold. You're drifting deeper, the fans hum pulling you into the heart of Rome, 100 BCE, where clothing's not just worn but declared. You're in the forum, the air thick with marble dust and ambition. Your toga a massive woolen semicircle, 20 feet of fabric wrapped with the precision of a general's battle plan. It's bulky, impractical, a badge of citizenship that screams Romanitas Romanness to every passerby. No Greek looseness here. Your outfit's a law, a rank a life sentence of status, and you're about to wear it like armour. You're a citizen male free, and the toga's your birthright draped over a tunic, its folds a puzzle you've mastered since boyhood. It's plain white toga virilis for every day, but magistrates sport a purple border. The toga praetexta, and emperors flaunt the toga picta, purple and gold rare as a triumph. You wrap it carefully, left arm pinned right free, the wool heavy, but proud, dyed with murex snail so costly it's worth its weight in silver. Underneath your tunic's belted knee length marked with a broad purple stripe, if you're a senator narrow for a knight. Women wear stolas, long dresses over tunics, their heads veiled with a pallor for modesty, though their jewels, emerald pins, pearl necklaces shout wealth louder than any speech. Every thread's a code. Slaves wear rough tunics, soldiers rugged caligy boots, senators red shoes to mark their stride. You notice the care toga's pressed stripes measured, because in Rome a sloppy fold's a social crime. Your sandals creak, your tunic's wool itches, but you stand tall, knowing your toga's a scroll proclaiming your place in the Republic. Even kids get mini togas, a nod to their future, while the enslaved address to their master's whim, their cloth a chain of servitude. Rome's brutal legions march plebs riot, but its people endure their clothing a map of grit and glory. You tug your toga tighter, its weight grounding you, and see pride in every fold, every stripe. This isn't just fashion. It's a manifesto stitched with power and duty. You stride the forum, your toga billowing, knowing you're wrapped in a legacy that binds a city, an empire, and a myth, all in one defiant drape. You're nestled deep, the fans hum, a steady pull into the misty forests of northern Europe, 450 CE, where Rome's marble dreams fray at the edges. Hit that like button if you're loving this journey. Subscribe for more and drop a comment where are you tonight. Let's trade Rome's heavy togas for the rugged, wind-whipped world of the Goths, Franks and Celts, where clothing's not a status game but a shield against a world that bites. You're about to wrap yourself in wool and grit where every stitch is a nod to survival. You're trudging through a muddy village, the air sharp with wood smoke and damp earth, your body wrapped in thick wool layered against the bone-deep cold. No flowing drapes here, you wear a long-sleeved tunic belted at the waist, and bracha, early trousers that hug your legs, a scandal to Roman eyes but a godsend in this frost-bitten land. Over it a cloak fur-lined and pinned with a bronze brooch flaps against your shoulders, heavy but warm. Your boots leather and stuffed with straw squelch in the mud, built for riding horses or hacking through brambles, not strutting in forums. This is practical fashion born of necessity. You see a woman in a layered wool dress, sleeves tight skirt cinched with a woven belt, her cloak fastened with a pin etched with spirals her tribe's mark. Colours pop reds, greens, blues from woad and madder, woven into checks that hint at clans not kings. Your belt's studded, holding a knife because peace is a stranger here. Jewellery's common amber beads, bronze torques worn by men and women alike signalling lineage or loot. Hair's long braided for women, wild for warriors, sometimes tattooed with swirls that scare the soft-bellied Romans. These barbarians are tough blizzards, rage raids loom, but they endure their clothing a map of resilience. You tug your cloak tighter, its wool scratching but sure, and see pride in every knot, every dye. This isn't just gear. It's a blueprint for the medieval world to come stitched with utility and defiance. You stride the village trousers swishing, knowing you're dressed not for glory, but for life in a land that demands you earn every breath. You're floating, now the fans hum a soft tether to a world where threads weave more than cloth, they weave humanity itself. We've trekked from caves to empires, and you're standing at a crossroads 450 CE, where clothing's not just cover, but a mirror of who we are. You're wrapped in the story of civilization from hides to silk, each fabric a chapter of survival pride and stubborn ingenuity. Let's pull it all together, seeing how you in every era dressed to defy the odds. You start in a cave, shivering a deer, hide your only shield against the ice. It's raw, but it's yours, tied with vines, a spark of tech born from desperation. Fast forward to Egypt, where your linen kilt breathes under the Nile's glare, its pleats shouting status, your mummy's wrappings a ticket to eternity. In Mesopotamia, your wool conics scratches, but its weight binds you to trade and gods. Indus cotton hugs you light and clever, a quiet boast of a city that plans its streets. Minoan skirts swirl your bodice a dance of power. Chinese silk flows your robe a map of rank. Greek chitons drape your himation a philosopher's pose. Roman togas bind your stripes a law. Now in barbarian wool your trousers laugh at Rome's fall, ready for the medieval mud. Clothing's your first invention, a rebellion against nature's teeth. You see it in every thread, Egypt's weavers beating flax, China's silkworms spinning secrets, Celtic dyes staining hands. It's not just warmth or modesty, it's identity etched in dye and knot. A pharaoh's linen screams divinity. A Goth's brooch whispers tribe. You've worn status, faith, survival, each outfit a story of a people who laugh through storms, fight through winters and stitch their way forward. The world's brutal ice-sand war, but you endure your clothing a testament to grit. You feel it standing here, threads of every age woven into you. This isn't just fashion, it's humanity's pulse, a tapestry of necessity and dream. You walk on your cloak hide linen silk wool swaying, knowing every stitch carries a civilization's heart defiant and alive, ready for whatever the next age throws your way. Picture yourself in the Italian Alps near Turin, where the air's crisp as a freshly printed book, and the mountains loom like silent poets. It's 2025, but we're diving into a secret that feels like it belongs to a myth. Beneath the sleepy village of Vidraco lies a marvel no map brags about the temples of humankind, a labyrinth of underground chambers carved by hand, glittering with mosaics and mystery. This isn't some dusty cave with a few scribbles. It's a subterranean cathedral, 5 levels deep, with domes that rival Rome's, and art that whispers of Egypt, India, and stars uncharted. For nearly 2 decades, no one outside a tiny spiritual group even knew it existed. So grab a metaphorical lantern, maybe hit that like button if you're vibing, and let's explore this hidden wonder. You're standing above Vidraco, where the hills roll gentle and unassuming, hiding a secret that could make Indiana Jones jealous. The temples aren't just rooms, there are cosmic canvas walls alive with golden altars, stained glass, and symbols blending Mayan glyphs with Buddhist mandalas. This isn't the Vatican's work or some ancient order's relic. It's the creation of Damanhur, a spiritual collective born in 1975, named after an Egyptian city tied to Horus's worship. They dreamed of harmony, not dogma, and built this underground marvel to realign human souls with the universe. Started in 1978, carved in secret with picks and passion, it stayed hidden until a betrayal in the 90s brought police knocking. What they found wasn't a bunker, but a masterpiece defying logic and bureaucracy. This isn't just architecture, it's audacity, a testament to what humans can create when they believe in something bigger. The temples challenge our rush for efficiency, asking why we stopped building wonders. You feel the mountain's weight above its silence, guarding a story of faith and art. Damanhur's vision wasn't for fame, but for the future a beacon beneath the earth. As you imagine descending into its halls, the air hums with possibility like a song half remembered. One man sparked this dream a mystic with a blueprint from beyond. Let's meet Umberto Airaudi, whose visions turned stone into spirit. You're in 1970s Italy, the Alpine foothills stretching like a green canvas under a sky that feels closer to the stars. You're not Umberto Airaudi yet, but you're about to step into his world where the ordinary cracks open to reveal the cosmic. He's no guru in a robe, just a guy named Alberto, an insurance broker by day with a mind buzzing like a hive of ancient secrets. He's obsessed with metaphysics, reincarnation, and civilizations lost to time claiming vivid memories of lives in Atlantis. Egypt, places that hum with mystery. These aren't daydreams, they're blueprints, and one vision burns brightest a temple, hidden underground to awaken humanity's soul.